And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly minisode where we dig into the things that we've been watching recently. I'm Terry.
I'm Mary Beth, and this is my emotional support, Liquid Death Severed Lime.
I don't have it today. I just have
That's
some
okay.
freaky fast iced tea.
Ooh. So, just so everyone knows, it's still going strong in this household. I just got a new case in the mail the other day. It's just a bit at this point. I'm committed
It
to the
is.
bit.
It is. It is a bit.
And staying hydrated. Anyway, this week, besides
Important
that,
things.
we are talking about unconventional haunted houses, fighting aliens, a movie with an unpleasant female protagonist trigger warning, aka my life, and a Korean car chase movie.
Yeah.
This week. I swear to God, being on video does make me go feral. I think I've just decided to fully commit to being like a weird creature. And the video just like really encourages me. And I'm listening to a podcast where a woman loves being a weird and like acting like a creature, so I think she's just feeding into my desire to be a gremlin.
You're just pulling in that energy.
Yeah.
All right. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Let's all become creatures, by like end of this month we'll just be like
Yeah, I think it's part of the wedding transformation. I'm gonna become a full-on creature. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of creatures, but not really creatures, more like ghosts. Let's talk about this unconventional haunted house because I know that we both saw this movie. Yep, this is SKINAMARINK, directed by Kyle Edward Ball, and it is a Fantasia movie. It had its world premiere at Fantasia, and what the fuck? So, I had heard rumblings about this being really good, and a friend of the show, Caitlin Nelson, messaged me and said, you need to watch this movie. It's the most found footage thing at the festival. You should check it out. And that's, of course, Ping Ping, Mary Beth, go request that screener.
I mean, that's just like Mary Beth catnip,
Oh,
right?
it's
It's like...
yeah. I was going to say Mary Beth catnip, and I was like, I say that too much, and it's kind of embarrassing. But if someone else has it, it's not as embarrassing.
I just have an image of you, like, taking these found footage tapes and just, like, rubbing your face up along it.
Yeah.
And then just lying on your back like stone.
Uh-huh. Yeah, actually, not far off from my everyday existence. Thank you so much. Anyway, so this film. Jesus Christ. I'm trying.
We haven't even gotten to the first film yet, and we've already derailed.
Yeah. But yeah, so this movie is weird.
Yeah.
To put it lightly. It's basically two kids wake up in a house where the dad is gone and the windows and doors have all disappeared. And it's them trying to figure out what's going on in the house, and there's something else in the house. And you never really see the kids. All of the shots are very, like, of corners of rooms and of, like, open doorways and shit. Which, for some people, it's gonna piss them off. Like, I know this to be true, and I know you probably are going to tell me about the experience you had watching it with your roommate. But it's a lot of, like, playing with this very specific memory in my head of, like, laying down on a bed while the TV is on, or there's, like, static on the TV, and, like, what the colors look like on the ceiling, and it's in those weird liminal spaces of, like, 2, 3, 4 in the morning at a sleepover or in the living room when the TV is still on. And it's got this really cool tactile, staticky quality to it. It's just, something about it is fucking unnerving. It's like House of Leaves, the movie. Something just feels wrong with that house.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's this added thing of there's something actually in the house fucking with these two kids who are young kids. They, like, can't be older than 10 and whatever.
They're still at that age where they're playing with Legos and watching cartoons.
Yeah. And
having, like, sleepovers in the living room downstairs and, that age.
Yeah. And it's just really, it feels cursed? Is this one of those examples of a movie that feels cursed and that you shouldn't be watching, and that feels like this is something that needs to be burned in the trash? And I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in like it's bad, but in like a I cannot have this near me, or something bad will befall upon my head kind of situation.
Yeah, as I said in my review, it's like a movie that doesn't feel like it was made, but was like birthed from someone's subconscious. Like, it doesn't feel like a made movie. It feels like we're seeing something that we shouldn't, and it's wholly confusing and unconventional because the camera angle is a lot. I mean, I think it's trying to take us to the level of the kids. So there's like a lot of floor shots of like it being on the floor looking upward, and as you said, it focuses on everything but what's happening, which I know for some people is going to be incredibly frustrating. I did watch this with my roommate, and to her credit, she stayed the entire time, but at the very end she's like, I don't think this one was for me.
You know, that's fair, because it's definitely not a movie for everybody.
Yeah, it's not. But I'll tell you that while I wasn't... I do think... Okay, I do think that it probably could use a little bit of editing. I do think it is a little too long. But what it did do is afterwards, as I was making the trip from my basement upstairs, and I always walk around in the dark because that's just who I am, it did unnerve me. And when I was in my room, I did close my open closet door, because I've had my closet's been open because I had to do something in it. It's just been open the entire time, and I normally don't think about it, but like I closed my closet door in my room as I went to bed because there's just something lingering in my head.
That's the thing
with this film.
And like I was watching this and I was really sleepy because I was watching it like 1 a.m, and so I'm watching it and I'm starting to like at the very end, when something happens at the end, I started dozing off and they pose a question and I was like, no, not anymore. She's not going to bed anymore. What the fuck? And then like that night I had nightmares I had nightmares. Like I never get nightmares from movies. I have nightmares a lot, but I don't have nightmares from movies. But as I talked about on the podcast before, I have weird fears of like domestic spaces changing all of a sudden without you knowing.
Yes, you do.
And so like this movie was just like, and like it brought me back to it's so specific the way this hit this memory, but it brought me back to the first house I lived in when my mom and stepdad got together. They weren't married yet. They were just working together and they were roommates. And they were roommates. But, and now we see how that went. But I lived there with him and my stepbrother, and the house kind of looked like that house. And ooh. I have memories of laying in my mom's bed because I was scared because the house was in the woods. So like my window was like facing the woods, so I could see all the trees and stuff. And of course, me being who I was as a 5-year-old, I was like, "There's monsters and ghosts out there. Fuck that shit." And so when I would sleep in my mom's bed when I was scared, I have the memory of looking up at the ceiling and seeing those blue colors. And for some reason, this movie like hit that memory of being terrified as a kid at 2 or 3 in the morning. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to remember that. Like, that sucks in a good way. Yeah. But yeah, like, it was weird to see that, like, so accurately represented, and it got into my head.
Yeah, I watched Eraserhead for the first time for another project. And
plug that
as
shit.
As I was
or is that did you not announce it yet?
Oh, no. We haven't really talked about it yet.
We'll cut this shit out right now. Anyway, sorry. Just trying to be encouraging and then blew it.
No, we don't have to cut it. It's just I haven't really... I mean, we've kind of mentioned, but at some point down the line, Joe and I will be talking about the two Davids, Lynch and Cronenberg. We'll throw that out there. But yeah, so I was watching this in prep for that. And as I was watching SKINAMARINK, I kept thinking back to Eraserhead, because Eraserhead does a lot with sound, with this omnipresent sound that gets kind of maddening. And SKINAMARINK feels like a VHS tape that's been recorded from in like the 90s, where it has like so much grain and it has like this constant hissing sound.
Yes. Oh, the VHS like staticky hissing sound.
Mm-hmm. And there's a moment where the sound goes out and it's like just dead quiet. It was like the first time in the entire movie where I was like, there's actually no sound for a moment, and it was like intense. I was like, wait, what happened to the sound? Because you just get so used to hearing it. So I think this movie does a lot with sound, and it kind of has to do it because it doesn't, again, it doesn't show a lot of what is actually happening except for like some really intense moments.
Oh, for sure. Like it, and this movie also has some like really crazy jump scares, but it's just it's a wild experience. I think this is definitely a movie that will be dividing. Like, people are going to think it's so fucking annoying, or they're going to think it's incredible, and I am of the camp that it is incredible.
We're going to see a lot of 5 and 0 star ratings for this, I think, because like it is definitely not for everyone, but for the right person, it's going to fuck your life up. Yeah.
But it doesn't have distribution yet. But it has distribution. It doesn't have a release date yet. So it should be coming out soon, I think. So. Hooray.
Produced by Jonathan Barkan, former guest of the show.
Yeah, over at Mutiny Pictures. So, yeah, it's awesome. Okay. So we talked about SKINAMARINK, but then, Terry, what is this trigger warning for an unpleasant female protagonist?
Okay, I was not expecting to see there being like a trigger warning that talks about, swirling patterns and I think strobe lights and an unlikable female protagonist is what the opening crawl says for this movie. But I sat down and I watched writer-director Quinn Shepard's Not Okay.
Okay, I've seen much about this online. Which
hit Hulu and stars Zoe, is it Deutsch?
I think it's Deutsch.
Deutsch. Zoe Deutsch.
I said it with such confidence, and then I was like, oh, wait. Uh-oh.
I don't know. Deutsch. I would say Deutsch, but I don't know. Apologize, Zoe, for ruining your name, possibly. And Mia Isaac, who is a fucking rock star in this. Like, I don't think I'd ever seen her in something. Maybe I have, but she's...
I've heard really good things about her.
Really?
In this movie.
Really good in this. And then it has someone that I've had a crush on since Teen Wolf. Even when he's being a douchebag, as he is in this, Dylan O'Brien.
Oh, yeah, blonde douchebag O'Brien.
Just vaping, and I'm like, okay, blow some of that smoke in my mouth, please. Like, what? I don't know. Anyway, so Zoe Deutsch. Zoe is playing a character named Danny who is working at some like BuzzFeed type place, and she is an image editor, and she wants to be a writer, but no one takes her seriously. And so she invents this lie that she went to Paris for a writer's retreat. And so she starts taking pictures of herself and then editing in images of Paris behind her. And then she wakes up one morning after posting a photograph at some monument, and there was a terrorist attack in Paris. And so now she is stuck in this lie of lying that she was there and that she survived a terrorist attack. And it kind of goes from there of like, her basically profiting off of trauma, this fake trauma that happened to her, and she gets stuck in this lie, but she starts to like get work at her job. Everyone at her job starts to like her. She gets the attention of Dylan O'Brien's Colin, who she had lusted after for a while, but it was just like a dude bro. And so she starts feeding into this lie because she's getting everything she wanted. Meanwhile, she goes to a support group to like try to figure out how to be in pain and use their experiences to like, she starts taking notes about other people's experiences so that she can incorporate these into her story, because she realizes she can't write about something she hasn't experienced. And it's there that she meets Rowan, who's played by Mia Isaac, who is like this young teenager who suffered immense tragedy at a school shooting. And now she is championing kind of like David, is it Haig? David Hogg, the young school shooting victim in real life that went on to like, so like she's, you know, trying to bring attention to this and get, you know, guns outlawed, and they start striking up this friendship, and then it goes from there. And so this movie, boy, it is a very unlikable female character, but I have to say that what this movie does is it kind of tackles the internet's obsession with trauma and profiting off of it, and then the way everything can like kind of tumble down very quickly and turn into like getting death threats and having people doxing you and everything. So like it plays this very uneasy secondhand embarrassment cringe comedy, very dark, very cutting, very caustic, that I found I was either like sitting like, oh my god, this is so embarrassing, or I was laughing hysterically at, because it just is so dark. It's so dark. I really liked it. But I can understand why a lot of people wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of very interesting things about it online. I am very curious about it, though. I didn't realize like how dark it got. Like, I had no idea how dark it was. And then everyone was posting like dirtbag Dylan O'Brien being like sexy and gross.
Sexy and gross.
Is there a lot of fucking in that movie?
Not a whole lot. She does get an encounter with him, and it is over before you can blink, and she realizes that he can't inside without a condom, and she has to go get a morning after pill, Plan B. Like, it's just the kind of humor in this movie is on another level. I just gotta say, whew. But yeah, no, I really liked it, and it's on Hulu.
Well, okay. Wow.
Yeah, unlikable female protagonist, and boy, she is unlikable, but whatever. I think it's stupid that we have to like talk about unpleasant female characters when cinema and TV are littered with following male protagonists that are equally, if not more, shitty, and we're celebrating them.
But like, why even say that at the beginning? Like, then we're just have to put trigger warning. I don't know. Is it some fucking is it some weird commentary?
I don't know, because it's like, if it was like its own thing, I would take it as a joke. But like, it's put in with real trigger warnings, like, you know, bright lights. A lot of people are photosensitive. Like it's included in that, and I'm like, if it was just like its own thing, you know, haha, funny. But at the very tail end of a very real trigger warning, I don't know. I don't know if it's a joke or not. I didn't know how to exactly take it, but it jumped out at me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Anyway, I'll digest that later.
I think that in itself could like create some think pieces, but regardless, I want to hear about fighting aliens.
I'm a huge kaiju fan. I'm a huge fan of Shin Godzilla from 2016, which is like a retelling of Godzilla from the maker of...
Which I really need to see.
And as part of... Yes, you do. And as part of Fantasia, they screened Shin Ultraman, which is the second... It's not a sequel, but it's in that Hideki Anno and his collaborator, whose name I'm looking up right now because he is the actual director, the sole director of this one. His name is Shinji Higuchi. He is... Hideki Anno and him are creative partners, but Higuchi directed Shin Ultraman, and Anno wrote it. And so it is based on the character Ultraman, which, again, is a character that has existed in Japanese media for a long time. And Ultraman is an alien that comes down from outer space to help save humanity from kaiju that are attacking the world. And so this is their homage to that. And, you know, just as the 1954 Godzilla was a very serious movie, Shin Ultraman is not serious whatsoever and is goofy as fuck. And they captured that vibe incredibly well in this movie, which is basically basically about an agency that is set up by the Japanese government after they discover that kaiju exist, and this agency is like helping catalog and fight kaiju. And then one day, a giant silver man comes out of the sky to beat a kaiju, and then he disappears. And what ends up happening is he kills one of the agents by accident and decides to share bodies with him and give him the Ultraman powers. So he has like a little button that he can like put out, and then he becomes Ultraman, a big man who fights monsters. And it's as goofy as it sounds, and it's fucking incredible. And the movie, again, like if you saw Shin Godzilla, do not expect that kind of like serious, scary tone. Like it's not meant to be like that at all, which is great because it's trying to be more like the original series, which is silly, weird, fun, and like very over the top. And that's what this movie is. It's goofier than, like, I would have... It's not, like... I like Ultraman. It's just really silly. And it's basically, like, watching a bunch of Ultraman episodes back to back. Like, it's very kind of, like... There's an overarching narrative, but a lot of it's very, like, episodic in terms of the monsters that occur in the movie. And, like, as it goes from kaiju to, like, aliens that are trying to invade Earth kind of situation. So... But it's still really fun. Like, it's silly. It's got big monsters and really good effects. Amazing music. I mean, Hideki Anno is the editor, and he's incredible at editing and making these, like, really chaotic, cool, like, homages almost to Sam Raimi type editing. So, it's fun as fuck. It's goofy, it's silly, and it's cool. It's got big monsters in it. So... If you are a fan of Shin Godzilla, you'll probably have fun with this one. It's definitely got a much different tone, but it's a good fun time. And that's coming. I'm not sure the release date yet, like for a theatrical release, but it's soon because it just had the premiere at Fantasia, and then it played in New York City a couple weeks ago. So it's coming. I think it's coming soon. So yes, so that is Shin Ultraman. And then, Korean.
Yeah, so we both saw this one at Fantasia, and I was trying to think of another Fantasia movie to talk about, and I realized we hadn't talked about this one. So I was like, let's briefly throw this out there because I had a lot of fun with it. It's called Special Delivery, and it stars Park Seo-dam. I don't know how to pronounce. I am really bad at pronouncing name. Park Seo-dam, as a special delivery driver. She was in Parasite, and she is right. Isn't she the one? It's been a while since I've seen Parasite. That does the kind of Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, she's the sister that pretends to be the art teacher.
Yeah, and she plays a special delivery person that takes on illegal things that need to be delivered quickly, like people or like criminals running from other criminals and stuff like that. Like she does these really crazy kind of stunt driving things to escape from people and make sure that her product or person arrives safely. And she gets hired by a man who has a son who is trying to flee the mob because of stealing a USB that has like information on like $35 million. And she gets hired for it. He doesn't show up, but his kid does. And she's off and running, being chased by a corrupt cop who is also part of the gang, by like some kind of torturer, and also by the regular special investigation cops. And it has like a vibe of, I would say, like 90s and 80s like car chase movies that were really big. But it's also I think people have been saying that it's kind of like Korea's answer to Drive, and I can kind of, I guess, see that. But like for me, it kind of evokes the sort of the car chase subgenre that was so big for a while in America. And it has like a pulsing soundtrack and everything. It has some fantastic stunts with the car. It gets a little dark in spots, but I had a really good time with it.
So did I. So I saw this too. It was one of the first movies actually that I watched at Fantasia.
Same.
And I was really surprised with how incredible the driving choreography is. It's like, it's so badass.
Precise.
It's tense. It's shot in, yeah, exactly. Like the way that it's done is just so cool. Like it feels like high paced. I mean, if you like Fast and Furious, it's not racing obviously, but it's got that kind of high octane vibe. But then Park So-dam's character is this like, yeah, this bad bitch, but also she's got this cat that she loves and loves to take care of. There's like this really kind of these interesting sides to her that I really enjoyed in this, because it's not just like a brooding dude driving a car. It's like a badass woman in this world full of gross men who is like chill and calm and collected, but also has a side of like, I love my pet, and yeah, and this is like, I'm not just all business and serious. And I like how they strike this. They don't make her one note, which I feel like so many movies can do so easily with characters like that, like the unlikable female.
Well, and then also they don't make her the mom, like with the kid. Like they're like, I was afraid they're gonna kind of lean into like, oh my gosh, she's a woman, it's a kid, she has to like protect him. But they don't really lean into that. Yeah, she does protect him, but it's not like she doesn't find femininity or some like stereotypical idea of femininity through this kid.
No, it's definitely not like, oh, she would like to be a mother now. Like, look at her. Like, it's so much. It's, yeah, and I'm very, very happy about that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, high octane, exciting, great stunts.
A lot of fun. Yeah, it's like, it's not like adding anything super new to like the car chase action genre. Like, it's pretty straightforward, but it's fun. Like, if you're looking for a fun action movie that actually has like a woman in the center who isn't one note, this is the one. And again, Park So-dam, incredible. She's a badass. So yeah, it is a good fun action movie that if you're looking for an action movie that isn't like super dumb but like isn't asking for a ton of your brain either, this is the ticket for you.
Absolutely.
So, well, okay, that has been little cuts in what we've watched this week. But now that Fantasia's over, we're going back to horror comedies. Terry, what are we watching next week?
Yeah, so we're coming, as Mary Beth said, we're coming back to horror comedies, and we are starting with an absolute classic, in my opinion. Shape-shifting aliens and little balls of fur. We're watching Critters.
Hell yeah.
And you had never seen this before, right, Mary Beth?
Correct, I have not. My brother got me the box set of all 4 of them for Christmas, so I have an excuse to break them out. He was like, I don't know what movies you don't have. And I was like, that's fair. So he got me Critters, and it was a smart move. So
yeah, I have a story to share about Critters, but I'm not going to share it until we get a guest on talking about Critters, because I'm still holding out for that. But I'm excited to talk about this comedy. And cool. Who are we talking with on Monday, Mary Beth?
So on Monday, we are chatting with director and actor Brett Latta. You'll see him in front and behind of the camera in his debut feature film, The Andrew Baker Tape, which is out now on Terror Films' YouTube channel, and then it's having a digital rollout starting next Friday. And he brought with him the intense classic 28 Weeks Later. Not days, weeks. And boy, oh boy, it's really too relevant of a movie for now. So
it sure is. I was surprised at how well this movie held up. And it was a good conversation.
Me too. Yeah, it was really, I mean, again, we always say it, but it was cool to talk about this now and like revisit a movie that you're like, is it really necessary? And then now watching it, like, okay, I get it.
I see what you're doing.
This makes a lot of sense. Yeah, seriously. But listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Since we're back on horror comedies, is there something we should be watching? Do you have thoughts about any of the things that we watched this week? If you have had a chance to see them, you can send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB.
And I'm at Gaily Dreadful.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred
And
Podcast.
please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe.
Thank you to everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly,
and until next time.